check the levels, make sure everything's good over there while I let everybody know we're here. Let me put this YouTube opening up. Ah, yes. Can you see?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I made some new overlays for us and open micers, so I had a productive week last week.
Good. Yeah, I like the big bold yellow font at the top.
All right, well, that means we're ready to do a show. What do you say?
I reckon.
All righty, well, let's do a show here in 3, 2, 1. Greetings, programs, and we're back for another episode of the Nerd Cave Retro Show. My name is Jason Robbins.
And my name is Derek Diamond.
It's Monday, time has changed, and we're barreling towards summertime. And I don't know about you people out there, but I'm not a fan of summertime. I like the winter. I like the fall. I like the winter. I like spring. Summer, I'm not looking forward to.
There's a phrase that I have for summer, but it's not appropriate for this show. So if you want to know what it is, just reach out to me and I'll tell you. But,
all you northern listeners and all you listeners in the upper northern hemisphere who don't know what summertime is like on the Gulf Coast, come down here for one summer day and you'll see what it's like.
You'll never want to come back.
Yeah.
I can just about promise you that. No, it's yeah, the time change is always interesting because I know a lot of people, and I'm like this too. I do like the longer, like, daytime. You know, like, I don't like when it's dark at like 4 o'clock or 4:30.
Not me. I love it. It can stay dark 24 hours a day, and I would be happy.
We should move to Alaska to make that.
I am a creature of the darkness.
Creature of the night. That's a Gargoyles reference. If no one got that.
You merely adopted the darkness. I was born in it.
I didn't see the light till I was already a man. I liked Bane in that movie.
I did too. I love Bane. I love how in the Harley Quinn cartoon they have taken that version of Bane and mashed him with the comic book version. And it's perfect. It's perfection. And Alan Tudyk does the voice too. So,
ooh,
if you have not seen it yet, Derek, dude, y'all have got to start watching that this week. And please let me know when you do.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a few weeks ago, and you mentioned Clayface. I'd love to see it. I just need to actually like sit down and watch it. Which, speaking of shows, have you watched the new Daredevil yet?
I have not. I'm going to wait till that one's all out and then binge it.
It does something in the first episode that is very divisive, but I'll say this, they did not scale back on the violence. If you remember the Netflix shows.
I've managed to stay away from spoilers for it, luckily. I mean, I started to see a few things here and there, and then it just kind of like left social media, so I didn't see any spoilers. But that's one I'm gonna wait till it's all out before I binge it. I've been watching Severance, the Apple show Severance, and that's really
I've heard
good.
Really good things about that.
So I know it sucks that it's. I mean, I know we grew up week to week, but now that I'm spoiled with everything dropping I'm like, I just want everything all at once, you know.
That's why I loved what Cobra Kai did, because we would watch the whole season in a day.
Yeah.
And at first I didn't like that they split that last season into 3 parts, but in a way it worked out because the finale was really, really good.
Yeah. I just hope they can stick the landing with Severance. It's been so good that I'm scared that, you know, when everything's finally resolved. I don't know how many seasons they plan to go. I think it's like 5 or something like that, but I just hope they can stick the landing because it's very they've raised a lot of questions and there's a lot of mystery in that show. So if they don't answer the questions that needed to be answered, there's going to be a lot of angry Severance fans out there.
It can't be any worse than Game of Thrones.
Yeah, well, we don't talk about that around here. But
Well, the prequel series is good.
I haven't.
I don't know if you've seen House.
Game of Thrones aggravated me so much that last season, the last couple episodes. Haven't even watched the prequel yet.
I'd give it a shot just to see what you think of it. I'm personally enjoying it, and the effects are amazing, like really really good.
I might one of these days, but I'm in no hurry.
Understandable.
But anything interesting you've been playing this weekend other than what we're talking about tonight?
That's it for the most part. I've actually had a day where I decided that I wasn't really going to do much of anything. So I got Lego Star Wars, and that's what I did most of the afternoon. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, and other than that, like, you know, I've got a couple of mobile games that I played just because I've been so like on the go the past like month or so that's really kind of been all I've had time to do is just, you know, if I get a few minutes at work or a few minutes here, I'll pull out my phone and do like a couple of mobile games. But that's really been about it.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Balatro on Game Pass, and I am horribly addicted to that game. And if you're a person who loves like card games, you know, poker, and you like deck builders, and you like roguelikes, this is not the game for you because you will be sucked into it like I am, and you will not be able to put it down.
That's the thing we were talking about before we started recording is that like I would love to play it, but I know myself and I will get so addicted to it.
Yeah, I'm even thinking about buying it on the Switch just so I can sit on the couch and play it while you know, my girlfriend watches TV and I can just play some cards, you know. But then if I do that, I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't do that because then I'll be even more addicted to it, and I can't be. That whoever made that game knew what they were doing. They made a banger of a card game.
Eventually, I will check it out.
And the 16-bit graphics are a nice touch, too.
You can't go wrong with 16-bit.
But we got some news to get to. Would you like to step into it?
Sure.
Let's do it. Some of tonight's stories were provided by Armez Jackson and I Am the Rampage. And if you have a news story you'd like us to cover, send them to nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. And this first story is from NintendoLife.com. 20 years after its demise, publisher Acclaim is being resurrected. Back in the day, Acclaim Entertainment was a pretty formidable force in the games industry. It has dozens upon dozens of games under its belt, including the first two Burnout titles, the Turok series, NBA Jam, and of course, Mary-Kate and Ashley Sweet 16 License to Drive. Let's see, they went bankrupt in 2004, and now they're making a comeback. Who said? Does it say? I don't know who acquired the IP, but it's basically just a trademark that they've acquired. This is not the Acclaim of old saying they're making a comeback. This is kind of like what's happened to Atari and in television over the past few years, but we'll see what happens with this. You know, everybody was talking about this in our Discord the other day, and it's interesting. You know, Acclaim was one of those, they were hit or miss back in the day. They weren't really like they were just as big and well known as like Capcom and Konami, but they had a lot of hits and misses with the Acclaim tag on there. So you had to be careful with what you got from Acclaim. But, you know, I'm kind of excited to see what they bring back.
The most interesting thing is going to be because they've been gone for so long, like your NBA Jams, which I would say that might be what Acclaim is most known for.
Yeah.
Like EA owns the rights to NBA Jam now. So it's kind of like, I'm curious as to what they can do. and what they're going to do with what they can do.
Yeah, because, and what people don't understand is just because Acclaim has been the name of Acclaim has been acquired doesn't mean that those licensing rights go with it. So
Right.
this is just kind of a wait and see kind of thing.
And I mean, the game industry has changed so much since Acclaim's been gone. So I'm very curious to see what they do because, like you said, they're one of those names that you knew them. Like you knew Capcom, you knew Konami, you knew Acclaim. They're below both of those, but they were still a recognizable name. So I'm excited to see what they could potentially do.
Yeah, I'd say they were in the top 5 publishers, like most well-known publishers back in the day.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of Acclaim games out there. They're either really good or they're really sucky. There's kind of no in between there when it comes to Acclaim games.
As we'd say in the South, they were real bad.
They're real bad. Real bad.
Real bad. Next up is also from NintendoLife.com. Hamster's Arcade Archives celebrates 8 years of Switch eShop releases. Since the arrival of the Switch in 2017, Hamster Corporation has been releasing all sorts of arcade classics on the eShop. Now in line with the 8th anniversary of Nintendo's hybrid system, Hamster's president and CEO Satoshi Hamada has taken a moment out of his busy schedule to share some fun facts. If you haven't been keeping up, it's now released 455 titles in 8 years.
That's
Holy
a lot.
Cow. I had no idea it was that much.
I didn't either.
The developer has also been recognized by the Guinness World Records for approximately 418 consecutive weeks of new releases, and it's still going.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Insane. That's crazy.
Yeah, we've talked about consistency, but that's like a whole nother level.
Yeah, why can't Nintendo acquire or at least work in tandem with Hamster's Arcade and just have them handle all your NES and Super Nintendo and Game Boy releases?
That makes too much sense.
Well, we're full of good ideas here on the show, but they don't seem to translate to real life.
No, unfortunately not. But yeah, some of the Arcade Archive games are really fun. I remember playing the Mario Brothers one.
Yeah.
I think there was a Donkey Kong one based off the classic Donkey Kong arcade game.
Yeah.
So there's some great content from them, and to see that they've made that much for that like consistent amount of time, like I want to support them just for that.
And I imagine they're making a ton of money off of this. With that many titles, they put out at least one title every single week. They don't have to develop the games, they just have to port them. So they're not developing games, they're just porting them. Old arcade, MAME machines and ROMs and all that. Just porting it all over to the Switch and, just making money. Like whoever developed this Hamster's Arcade is just probably like so glad that they did.
Yeah, they're like Scrooge McDuck right now.
I know.
Swimming around in the safe. But you could go on the Arcade Archives website, and it has 15 pages of titles that they have released over the years. So
it's a few.
Yeah, one or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, props to them because that's amazing.
Yeah. This next story is from NintendoLife.com. Speaking of Nintendo Switch Online, Nintendo expands Switch's online Game Boy library with 2 more titles. When was the last time they released some titles for the Game Boy? It's been a while.
Since they started releasing Game Boy games for the Switch.
Let's see. First up is the 1994 title Donkey Kong, along with the 1995 puzzle game Mario Picross. You see, do you remember Mario Picross? I don't remember this game. What is Picross?
I vaguely remember it. I don't know exactly how it works.
It says the secrets lie in the numeric codes at the top and on the left side of each window. Decipher these numbers and uncover a hidden picture in every mind-bending puzzle.
I'm looking at the trailer now, and you remember that old game Minesweeper
Yeah.
that used to be for the computer? It kind of reminds me of that.
Okay. I hated Minesweeper, so I'll never play Mario's Picross. Did you know there's an actual strategy to Minesweeper? I thought it was just press buttons until you got blown up by a mine.
I'll go to my grave believing that. Like,
That's
people
all.
can tell me there's a strategy, but no.
Yeah, I saw a couple of videos where I was like, "There's an actual strategy. There's rules to this game." I'm like, I don't care. That's not how we used to play.
That is false, sir.
Yeah.
There is no
False.
strategy.
And
I will say, on a serious note, Donkey Kong 94 is a super underrated Game Boy game.
yeah,
I'm surprised that it wasn't on there already, but if you've never played it and you have a Switch, I highly recommend it. If we were to do like a most underrated like games of the 90s,
yeah.
that would absolutely be on my list. It takes the classic arcade Donkey Kong game and adds like 10 new levels to it. It's got some replayability like crazy. It's super fun. It's a great platform and puzzle game.
These next two stories are from I Am the Rampage, and they kind of go together because one he gave us the other day, and then one he put in the email today. So I'm going to let you do this first one, which then it will lead into the next story.
Okay, so this is from glassalmanac.com. Next Xbox console launching next year with Call of Duty. Rumors say yes. Microsoft is reportedly gearing up to launch a new Xbox by 2026. A leak suggests it might debut as early as next year, featuring the upcoming Call of Duty at its release. The buzz around the next Xbox console is growing louder. Based on the information available so far, it's known under the codename Prime, and it seems focused on enhancing the Game Pass and Microsoft's online offerings. While these are still just rumors at this point, they echo recent statements from Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox Games, about expanding their market presence through these services. The next gen is reportedly slated for fall 2026, which is significantly earlier than Sony's next console, rumored to be set for a late 2027 to early 2028 release.
I think this is kind of crap. I think it's just a rumor. No way do they put out a new console by next year. I think they're trying to go as consoleless as possible. I think they're trying to get Game Pass everywhere. They're going to try to get it on the new Switch. They're even going to try, probably talking with Sony right now about trying to get it on the PlayStation 6 or whatever. I guarantee you those talks are happening. But this next story, I tend to think is a little more closer to the truth. This is from Eurogamer.net. Xbox Next Gen console reportedly targeting 2027 with handheld device due this year. Microsoft is reportedly aiming to release its Next Gen Xbox Series XS successor in 2027, maybe, but with a much rumored handheld arriving later this year. That's according to Windows Central, which reports an Xbox Series XS successor has been greenlit all the way up to Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, or Sasha Nadella, that's how you spell that, and is now fully in production. The publication doesn't have much to share in the way of specifics, but it claims that the new console is a premium successor and is currently slated for a 2027 release. This seems a little more, to me, truthful, but I think they're not going to do another console. They're going to do a handheld hybrid like the Switch. If they do another console, it's going to be dockable and it's going to be handheld as well, but it's going to be expensive as hell.
Yeah, if that's what they go with, then yeah, the price is going to be pretty outrageous. I don't know. It's tough to say what the next gen of consoles is going to be, just because the industry is changing so much. I do agree that putting Game Pass on more platforms would be the way to go. Do I think they will do a new console? Yes, but I'm thinking like 2028
Yeah. Late
for both
2027 at the
yeah,
earliest. maybe Christmas 2027. But I really do think that it's going to be a hybrid console. And Nick in the chat room, our good friend Nick Wendling is in the chat room, and it is his birthday tomorrow. So happy birthday, sir.
Yeah, happy early birthday.
Everybody wish him a happy birthday in the Discord over there.
Yeah. Also, a shout out to Gary Cavanis Jr., who's in the chat. And of course, I am the Rampage, who just showed up.
Yeah, Gary says, imagine a Telltale Star Wars game where you could choose as Anakin whether to kill Mace Windu or kill Palpatine. Now, that is a game I'd like to play.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It kind of reminds me of, did you ever play the Revenge of the Sith game?
Did I play Revenge of the Sith? I don't remember.
There is an alternate ending where you're doing it's the Anakin Obi-Wan duel. Yeah. And you actually, if you play as Anakin, you can kill Obi-Wan.
Really?
And it makes like an alternate ending. I haven't played that game in forever.
I remember everybody talking about that back in the day, but I don't remember playing that game. I do remember playing the Phantom Menace for the PlayStation 1 and not knowing what in the hell to do. I was so lost in that game.
I don't think I ever played the Phantom Menace.
It's not good. Don't do it. I mean, you can do it for the show here, but save it for one of the games where you have to play something horrible.
Just when I feel like punishing myself.
Yeah, exactly. When you're in one of those punishing moods, you're just like, I hate myself and I'm going to play something crappy.
When I'm in a masochistic mood, I'll play it.
But now it is time for This Month in Video Game History. On March 16th of 1982, Atari's Atari 2600 version of Pac-Man hits the stores. It was a dark day in gaming that day, gentlemen.
The definitive version of Pac-Man was not released for the Atari 2600.
Man, that game's bad.
Yeah, I mean it caused pretty much the downfall of gaming as we know it, or one of the big causes anyway.
And like you like to say, Derek, of all the games released on the Atari 2600, it was one of them.
It was a game released on the Atari 2600. This is on my list of never played and never want to play. This is like near the top of it.
Yeah.
March 1st of 1985, Hogan's Alley is released for arcades in Japan. I have never played Hogan's Alley, actually. Really?
Oh, dude, Hogan's Alley was great. It was great in the arcade. It was great on the NES.
Yeah, it's one of those that I feel like it should get a little more recognition than it should, because in Smash Brothers, when they introduced the Duck Hunt dog as a playable character, his final smash is like the characters from Hogan's Alley pop up and just go ballistic on your opponents.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yes, well, it was a combination of a lot of things, Nick. It was a bad port of Pac-Man. He says, I thought E.T. caused the crash. E.T. was basically the final nail in the coffin for the crash. Pac-Man started it, but E.T. finished it off. But I think the reason that you were saying, I think the reason that people don't really give Hogan's Alley the recognition it deserves is because it's so hard to play it now, because you can't play, light gun games on a modern TV. I wish somebody would figure that out.
I'm surprised they haven't already.
I think there was something. Didn't we read something a few years ago? Somebody was trying to make a light gun that works with modern TVs for they were doing like a Kickstarter. Whatever happened to that? We never heard about it again.
I don't know. The fact that we haven't heard about it isn't necessarily a good sign.
Probably means it didn't fund.
Yeah. You're up next.
March 7th of 1991, Capcom releases Street Fighter II for the arcades. It becomes highly successful and is routinely listed as the grandfather of the fighting game genre. It is also credited with revitalizing the arcade game industry at the time and popularizing direct tournament-level competition between players.
I love Mortal Kombat, especially the first two games, but Street Fighter 2 is probably the most recognizable arcade fighting game of all time.
Oh yeah, not to mention the super. Like, I mean, it's still used in competitions to this day. I mean, and Rampage says my next review is Pac-Man for the 2600. I wrote hell to the no.
Never put that in a Patreon poll.
Yeah,
because it will win.
I should go capture some sound from that game though. The that horrible Pac-Man sound, because there's no music in it. It's just that horrible when he's eating the dots noise.
And when that happens, our viewership and listenership will just take a sharp nosedive.
Oh, what a bad game.
Yeah. March 6th of 1997, Sega opens Sega World Sydney in Australia. It's the second Sega World park to open outside of Japan, with the first opening as part of the London Trocadero the previous year. See, we've got Super Nintendo World now, and it's awesome. I went to the one in California last year, and I absolutely loved it. If Universal is smart, what they would do, because we have the Avengers or the Marvel section, eventually those rights are going to expire. If they did like a Sonic portion of a theme park or added some other Sega stuff, I'd move to Orlando.
Who owns the movie rights to Sonic? Is it
Paramount.
Oh, Paramount. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, well, maybe they could do a deal with Universal.
In a perfect world, that would be the case. Like even a whole like video game theme park, like you could have a Sonic section, or you could have I don't know. You could have a lot.
Yeah. Rampage in the chat room says the Sinden light gun is out. And I'm looking at the web page now. It is the world's first true LCD compatible light gun, providing all the functionality and game experience of the original CRT light guns without requiring additional hardware such as infrared sensor bars. This looks great. Let me see how much this thing is.
He says it's 107 for the base model or 160 with recoil.
You know, honestly, that might be worth the money.
I mean, I'd get the base model.
Oh, you see, look at this. They've got the. Do you remember playing? Oh, what was that game? Time something. Where you had the gun. It's like a first-person shooter with the gun. It's a light gun game in the arcade, but you press on the pedal, and it makes you duck down behind Time Crisis or something like that.
What was that game?
I think it was Time Crisis, but they have the arcade pedal here, but it's like $249.99.
Jeez.
And then they have a double pack for $474.99.
Again, I would just like to be able to drop $500 on something like that.
Yeah, that'd
like
be
not
nice.
necessarily saying I would, just saying I'd like to have the means to.
Yeah, they're saying it's Time Crisis in the chat room. But this thing looks cool. I love the look of this thing. But yeah, the base model is 107, and the with recoil is 160. But they also have 2-packs, which you can get a 2-pack of the regular light gun for $200, and the with recoil 2-pack is $300. So if you're out there and you need a light gun, go to sindenshop.com and get yourself a light gun that works with a new TV.
Yeah, and it looks cool too. You could get it in blue, red, or black.
I like it.
Yeah.
Let's see. March 5th of 2001, Rare Nintendo released Conker's Bad Fur Day for the Nintendo 64 in North America. One of your favorite N64 games.
One of the most underrated Rare games and N64 games. I still can't believe that Nintendo greenlit it, because I've been going through this phase of more listening to, but also watching long plays of games while I'm at work. And I watched a Conker one, And I'm like, how in the world did this get made by Nintendo of all places? Like, if it was on the Xbox, I could see it. If it was on PlayStation, yeah, probably.
It
But
was probably because the N64 was already on its way out, and the GameCube
yep,
was coming, and Nintendo's just like, just do what you want.
this game actually was re-released for the Xbox once Microsoft purchased Rare,
Yeah.
and they did like a full reskin of the game and also added some more in-depth multiplayer, and it hit its 20-year mark this year. So I will I'll be talking Conquer Live and Reloaded later this year. But yeah, I love Conquer's Bad Fur Day. It's such a fun game.
Yeah.
And March 2nd of 2005, the Entertainment Software Rating Board, or ESRB, added the rating of E10 Plus to its rating system. E10 was created in order to divide E ratings for younger and older children.
So basically the PG-13 of the video game rating system.
Yeah, I remember when it used to be like K to A, kids to adults.
Yeah.
And then they changed it to E. And we've mentioned it before, the little jingle at the end of every commercial, rated E for everyone.
Rated E for everyone.
So yeah, that's this month in video game history.
And now, before we go into the review for tonight, Derek, we have some Patreon shout-outs.
As always, we like to shout out our awesome patrons over at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. We want to shout out our newest patron, Riley, Romaldo Marquez, Mr. Wally Phelps, Brian Piotrowski, Nick W., Eld the Zombie, Yup Fed, a.k.a. Knife, James, a.k.a. at Jimbo Jr. over on our Discord, Raven, Danny House, Justin Nispel, Daniel Salmon, Mr. B. Rez Coffee himself, Mike Eveland, Tyler Watson, Axeblade07, the official beat writer of the Nerd Cave Retro Show, Mr. Armez Jackson, Carlos Longoria, a.k.a. I am the Rampage, Staff Sergeant Sketch, Gus and Penny, Matthew Salmon, Joey Potato himself, the official, I'm calling him the official potato chip of Nerd Cave Retros a little bit. So we'll say the official spud of the podcast, Mr. Joey Potato / Joey Image, and of course,
Mama Diamond.
Donna Diamond. Thank you all so much for your continued contributions and keeping the lights on for us here at the Nerd Cave Retro Podcast. For as little as $1 a month, you get early access to our bonus episodes, which include, for the most part, a commentary track from an animated show or a full-length movie, whether it's animated or live action. But this month, we are going to start the official Nerd Cave Retro Quest D&D campaign.
Oops, sorry, I was muted. I had to cough.
Oh, no worries.
Yes. I can't wait. We were talking today about trying to get our schedules coordinated. For the D&D campaign, which we are calling Nerd Cave Retro Quest, and I can't wait to get to it. And Nick says we missed RE5 for video game history. How'd we do that?
Well, we still got a couple of weeks, so we can throw it in there for next week.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm excited for it. I've never played D&D myself, so hopefully I don't die in the first playthrough of it.
Because Wally told us today, he was like, look, guys, he texted us, he said, look, you can actually die in this campaign, so keep that in mind. I'm like, oh, okay then.
Yeah, so if I end up dying, I'll just sit back and I'll mute myself and eat my popcorn while I listen to you guys play through the game. But yeah, you also get your own RSS feed with 0 ads, so if you want to hear the show uninterrupted, it just costs you as little as $1 a month. And if you want to be a part of our awesome Patreon community, just head over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. And for new patrons, be sure to send us your social media info so we can give you a proper shout out.
And I was going to play some of the game music to introduce the game, but it's literally just the John Williams score. And Disney had their precogs show up at my house and break my kneecaps yesterday for even thinking about playing it here on the show. So, you want to just sing it?
I was gonna, I was gonna do that. Or, do you remember the Family Guy versions of the original trilogy?
Yeah.
How it's Peter telling the
Yeah.
the story, and at the end of the first episode, he goes, nee 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 nee. I was
That's what
thinking you could,
I wish
you
I'd have
could
talked
play
to you
that.
beforehand. I would have captured that to play in front of
I
it.
should have said something, so
Oh, missed
that's on
opportunity.
me. But yeah, I'm really excited to talk about this Lego Star Wars the video game. Now, I wasn't even gonna review this game until like later in the year or even at some point in the future. But you reviewed a Star Trek game last week, and then I was thinking a nice balance to that might be a Star Wars game, and we haven't talked about a Star Wars game in a while. So,
Yeah.
and then I'm thinking, has Lego Star Wars hit its 20-year mark yet? And sure enough, Lego Star Wars the video game was released in 2005. So, Lego Star Wars the video game is, of course, as I mentioned, a 2005 Lego themed action adventure game based on the Lego Star Wars line of construction toys and the first installment in the Lego video game franchise developed by Traveller's Tales, which would develop many future Lego titles from that point on. It was first released on March 29th, 2005, and is a video game adaptation of the Star Wars prequel trilogy, which includes The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. Now, what's interesting about this is that Revenge of the Sith hadn't come out yet.
Yeah.
This was 2 months before the movie. So in the original version of this game, because they both this and its sequel were repackaged as Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga,
Yeah.
and that's where they added in the, you know, the music, because they used music that was unused from the original trilogy and some from the other prequels for Revenge of the Sith. It's shocking to me because you know how Lucasfilm and Disney like to keep Star Wars stuff very, very close
Yeah.
to the vest.
Well, it reminds me too, how the soundtrack also came out like 2 months before the movie was released, and some of the song titles were spoilers for the movie, and everybody's like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, especially the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, yeah, I
Because
remember that too.
there was
yeah.
a track called Qui-Gon's Noble End, and you're just
Yeah.
like, why?
Why?
Why would you do that? Because with the sequel trilogy, I remember they would release the CDs, and the track listing wouldn't even be on the packaging. It was just the title at the front. But I was introduced to this game a couple of years after it was actually released. Like, I remember it coming out, and I'm like, this, like, yeah, I like Star Wars, but this looks kind of like a kid's game. So because I was, in my early 20s at the time, or no, I was in my late teens, actually.
And the only
Yeah,
reason
so-
I got into the Lego games was because my nephew at the time, who was like maybe a couple of years old, they had a Wii, and it was Christmas, and he loved Indiana Jones, and I played the Lego Indiana Jones game with him, and I was like, wow, this game is fun. So I immediately went and bought it for, I think it was the Xbox 360 version at the time, and then I went back and I bought this game. I have this for the GameCube, and I think I bought the Complete Saga for the Xbox 360 as well at the time.
Yeah, a friend of mine had the Complete Saga, and he was like, "You got to play this game. Like, you got to play Lego Star Wars." And I'm like, I don't know. So I borrowed it, and within like 5 minutes, I'm like, I have to buy this game. So no, I went out and I bought it, and it is one of the most fun games for any console, really, because on its surface, yes, it does look like a kid's game, but if you're a Star Wars fan, you really appreciate the humor that is in the game. Like, it's a little bit like satire, because like Star Wars has been parodied and satired so many times, from Robot Chicken to Saturday Night Live, Family Guy. Almost everybody's done it. But just the little funny moments that would happen, like in the Phantom Menace section, whenever the Naboo cruiser has to land on Tatooine because the hyperdrive is leaking. You see Lego Obi-Wan hitting it with a wrench, and then it just completely falls apart.
Yeah.
Or little things like when Qui-Gon saves Jar Jar Binks from being flattened on Naboo, and then the Lego Jar Jar just hugs Qui-Gon, and he's like, stop, get off me. Little things like that. And when Anakin transforms into Darth Vader, was funny and kind of cool at the same time. Or when a character dies, they have the giant X's over their eyes. So there's a lot of really fun moments that happen in this game. And the cool thing is like you have unlimited lives. So what you basically do is it goes through the story of each of the prequel movies. And you collect these little Lego pieces called studs. They're the little round single pieces. For those that are Lego fans, you know what they are, but they're basically used as currency. And what you do is you can get enough of them where you can buy other characters, you can unlock other characters or vehicles. So like when you start the game, you can only play as Qui-Gon Jinn or Obi-Wan Kenobi. Once you play through the Phantom Menace, you unlock like TC-14, Jar Jar Binks, Captain Panaka, Padme, and they all have different abilities. Like obviously when you play as a Jedi or a Sith, you can use the Force. You have a double jump. You have a lightsaber. If you play as a character with a gun, using a gun is a lot easier because you can just kind of go in and just guns blazing. You take the Captain Kirk method, to use a Star Trek reference. You shoot first and ask questions later. And the fact that you have unlimited lives, you can do that and you don't really have much consequence. But yeah, and you can also grapple to different like different areas that you can't get to as a Jedi. And what's great too is that once you beat a stage, you unlock what's called free play mode, where you can go back and you can play as any character you want. Because there are certain areas like in Phantom Menace or Attack of the Clones, you can only use a stormtrooper to go through or a bounty hunter to access certain rooms to get collectibles you couldn't get before. And you can also get like your Plo Koons, your Kit Fistos, characters that you see, but you don't necessarily get to play as.
Yeah.
And, if you're a fan of those characters, then you want to unlock them and play through the game again.
And Nick in the chat room brought it up that he thought the Luke Skywalker Lego Star Wars collection was on Game Pass, and I looked it up, and it is. The Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga Galactic Edition is on Game Pass right now. So if you have Game Pass, or no, wait, it's not on Game Pass. Wait, I think it was on Game Pass, but now, no, wait, hold on. It's $63.99 with Game Pass. Well, I just saw something that was on Game Pass. I think the original collection, the Star Wars, Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga on Game Pass December 6th, but this was in 2022, so I'm not sure if it's still there.
And I believe that's the one that includes the sequel trilogy as well.
Yeah, I think it's no longer. Well, I think you can get it for cheap if you have Game Pass. So if you want to get the Skywalker Saga and you have Game Pass, it's like a huge discount. But I don't think there's any Lego games on Game Pass right now.
Even at full price, it's worth it.
Yeah,
because that's how fun these games are. And you mentioned we couldn't play music beforehand because it uses the legit John Williams score from all the movies. So you get to have fun playing as wacky versions of Star Wars characters while listening to the score. So like, what more can you ask for?
And the thing
honestly,
is, because these are Lego, it doesn't matter if it's the original version back on the GameCube like this one or the PS2 or whatever. They still hold up because that's just how they are. And if you are like me and Derek were, and you see this little Lego games, and you're like, that's just kids games. I couldn't get into that. I'm telling you, go play a Lego game, and you'll understand how awesome they are.
It's a perfect game for if you've had kind of a crappy day and you just want to play something lighthearted and fun. This is a type of game that will do that.
Yeah.
I can think of days that, whether it was coming home from college or, after work and just feeling like crap,
Yeah.
pop in Lego Star Wars and it'll it'll help for sure. And with some of the later Lego games, I know they've added voice acting, which isn't bad, but I kind of like the original versions where there's no talking and it's just kind of over exaggerated body movements that tell the story. And as you mentioned, the graphics are timeless because they're Legos, they're supposed to be blocky. So
Yeah.
it was perfect for the time, and the graphics still hold up to this day.
Yeah, and I almost fired this up on the GameCube yesterday, but I was stuck on Balatro, so I'm gonna play this at some point this week, because they're just great. I need to get the Indiana Jones games too, because those were really good too. You can't go wrong with Lego games. You just can't.
Yeah, and there's so many other ones too. There's Lego Batman is really fun. Lego Harry Potter I haven't played yet, but I do want to. Lego Indiana Jones is fun. You just can't go wrong, and you really get your money's worth with this because. Oh, and one other thing too is you can even create your own character. At least I know you can in the complete saga. There's there's like a hub world that you're in. So for the original version, it's Dexter's Diner from Attack of the Clones. But with the complete saga, everything is kind of in the Mos Eisley Cantina. And then you'll go in, say, like the Revenge of the Sith room, and it looks like the conference room on Mustafar.
Oh, that's cool.
Or you'll go in, yeah. So each room is different. But with the original version, everything was in Dexter's Diner.
Okay.
And just seeing kind of like the interaction, with all the characters, because once you unlock, say, like R2D2 and C3PO, you'll just see them kind of hanging around, and you can switch to them and play as them if you want. But they're in these back to tanks where you can actually customize your own character.
That's cool.
Which I haven't really done, but it seems cool.
Yeah.
And I remember in the complete saga, you could unlock the Force Ghost versions of Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Anakin. And I mean, you're immortal because every attack goes through you. So
Yeah.
if you just want to go through and just, mow every opponent in front of you, then you can do that. And plus, if you're a Star Wars fan like both of us are, you get to see weird combinations of characters. Like in Revenge of the Sith, whenever Yoda is on Kashyyyk, and he has a good relationship with the Wookiees, and he says, goodbye to Tarful and Chewbacca at the before he leaves. There's a level in the Revenge of the Sith section where you play as the duo of Yoda and Chewbacca.
Oh, that's cool.
And you're like, you would have never seen that.
Yeah.
Like in any scenario, really, to see those two team up. It is so funny because whenever you're walking as Yoda, he walks with a cane and moves really slow. And as soon as you take the lightsaber out, you do like all the crazy flips that he does in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. So,
I think Lego has probably missed a golden opportunity to have a massively multiplayer online game with Lego stuff and all the different IPs that could be in there. Like they do it with Fortnite. Why couldn't they do it with Lego, where you just go into this, online world, build all kind of crazy stuff and play whatever character, you can come up with characters, or you can play pre-made characters like Luke Skywalker or, Darth Vader or Harry Potter or whatever. Like wouldn't that be awesome? I wonder if that
I would
idea
love
has
that.
been floated out there, because they're missing out on just money by not doing that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the interesting thing too is that as we've gotten older, because I don't know if you had Legos growing up,
Oh
but
yeah. I didn't
I
have any of the
remember
sets. I always had just the random buckets of Legos.
the a Rampage says Fortnite has a
Huh.
Lego mode.
I didn't know that. I mean,
I
I
didn't
haven't
know that
played
either.
Fortnite in like 2 years, so I don't know what they got going on over there.
I can remember as a kid getting the red bucket of Legos, and it
Yeah.
just had the random pieces, and you had like one character in it.
Yeah.
It's still at my parents' house, but I remember when Lego started doing the actual sets. Like, they started with Star Wars and they progressed to everything else. There's a Lego Mario set I know that we've talked about. There's a Lego Sonic, but they even do like elaborate, like legit sculptures,
Yeah.
and they're crazy expensive.
I know.
But there's like a Lego Iron Man helmet
I
that is
saw that.
awesome. It is
Well,
so cool.
it was like I told you guys a couple of weeks ago. I ran across a Lego set that was a Pac-Man. It looked like a Pac-Man arcade machine, and it was like, how much did I say it was at the time? It was like $300 or $400 at the time. I was just like, no, I can't. Who can afford this? I mean, because I thought, over the last year or so, I was like, man, I'd really love to collect some Lego sets, because I love Lego. But I go to the store and look at them all the time. Wherever I go, to either Target or Walmart or Barnes and Noble, I'm always looking at the Lego sets, and they're just so far out of reach financially. I mean, they're so ridiculously expensive.
And I would love to have some of them. Like, I know they have a bonsai tree that I would love to have, but I can't justify paying that much money for something that's just gonna sit on a shelf as a display item.
Yeah, I want to get the Back to the Future DeLorean, but it's expensive as
Oh,
hell.
that'd be so great.
They're just so
I would love that.
expensive. Why is it this? It's pieces of plastic. Why is it so expensive?
I have no idea. But kind of getting back to the game, there is a Game Boy Advance version,
Saw
which
that.
I've never played, so I might have to give that a shot sometime, because I still have my Game Boy Advance, so that may be something that I do down the line.
Yeah, and Rampage said him and his wife used Lego roses for her bouquet and his lapel for their wedding. Which actually, we need to say congratulations to,
Yeah,
to Rampage.
absolutely.
They got married about what, 2 weeks ago, and didn't tell nobody. They just went off and got eloped, and we're like, hey, we're married.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah. I mean, he dropped it in the open micers chat, and I'm like, oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
But it was just like we had no clue, but no, that's fantastic news for them. And yeah, he sent us the pictures of the Lego roses and the lapel. So that's a pretty brilliant idea.
Yeah.
As far as the reception and the legacy of the game goes, the game received favorable reviews on all platforms, according to the review aggregation website Metacritic. Some of the examples, it gave Electronic Gaming Monthly gave the PS2 version a 7 out of 10. Eurogamer gave it an 8 out of 10. Famitsu 30 out of 40. IGN 8 out of 10. Official US PlayStation Magazine 4 out of 5. And this is random. The Sydney Morning Herald gave it a 4.5 out of 5.
I'm just wondering why, it has its highest score is 79 out of 100. Honestly, I would think it would be higher. I mean, nobody had anything bad to say about it. I just wonder why it didn't score higher than that. I think it's because it's Lego that it didn't score higher.
It says here, the New York Times says there's a goofy pleasure in seeing animated Lego figures, pantomime scenes from the movies, and the game's puzzles and battles are undemanding but fun. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
At the end
honestly.
of the day,
Like,
isn't that all you want out of a video game, is just have fun?
yeah, that's the purpose of them.
Yeah.
is to have fun. So this game captures that perfectly. I don't know what they were thinking with the 7.5s and whatnot. I'm gonna give this game, if I'm talking just the prequel trilogy, because we'll talk more in depth about Lego Star Wars 2, which is the original trilogy, then the complete saga when it's time to review those. But like this game is pure unadulterated fun. And if you're a Star Wars fan and you have not played this, you are doing yourself a serious disservice. I'm going to give this a 9.5 out of 10.
That's more like it.
It's pure fun. You get to play wacky versions of recognizable Star Wars locations. I will say this too, before I wrap up the review. In the original version of this game, I don't know if it's because they ran out of time or if they had development issues, but they cut out the level where you're chasing Zam Wessel in the beginning of Attack of the Clones, because it's a speeder chase.
Yeah.
That wasn't included in the original version, but it was put back in when they combined the two games to create Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga.
You're probably right. They probably just ran out of time.
But yeah, I have had so much fun going back and playing Lego Star Wars. I'm gonna keep playing it because the originals are fun. I haven't played the sequel trilogy as far as the Lego version goes, but I'll do that eventually.
Yeah. Well, that's going to bring us to the end of this episode. Before we go, we do have a listener review by Mr. Nick Windling. And he asked, and yes, we have a listener review section. You can review movies or TV shows as well. It doesn't have to be just video games, because we like all kind of stuff retro here on the show. Yeah. But today, he says, I'm going to review the classic 1976 movie Bad News Bears. An ex-minor leaguer played by Walter Matthau agrees to coach a Little League team. Coach is an alcoholic. The Little League is awful and can't really play baseball at all. The group of misfits is a bunch of 11 and 12-year-old boys. My favorite one of the kids is Tanner, who constantly gets into fights and will stand up for his teammates. There is a scene where some of the Yankees are picking on the kid Timmy Lupus, and Tanner stands up for him. The coach, who is named Buttermaker, ends up getting Amanda to pitch for them. Amanda is the daughter of one of Buttermaker's former girlfriends. Amanda is played by Tatum O'Neal. The coach also enlists Kelly, a troublemaker who is often riding on his Harley, and he is often smoking cigarettes. We could do that back in the 70s. Kelly is played by Jackie Earle Haley, who later played Freddy Krueger in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake back in 2010. And don't forget, he was also Rorschach as well.
Yep,
You're right here with me. The Bears end up winning games and make it to the championship to face off against the Yankees. The Yankees are coached by Roy Turner, who is played by Vic Morrow. Sadly, 6 years later, Vic Morrow lost his life filming a scene of The Twilight Zone, the movie. The Yankees, who humiliated them in the first game of the season, the Bears lose the game but celebrate that they won the game. The Bears celebrate by spraying beer on each other that was given to them by Buttermaker, their coach. The kids tell the other team to shove their trophy up where the sun doesn't shine. And the film has a great production values and has some great humor to it. The acting is solid. I really enjoyed the movie and thought it was great. What a different time for movies. I agree. I give this movie 4.5 stars out of 5. To me, this is easily the best baseball movie, and I enjoyed it as much as The Sandlot. And I told Nick, I still haven't seen The Sandlot. But I have seen...
What?
I've never seen The Sandlot.
Oh, man. That movie was like a staple of my childhood.
I know. All the millennials love that movie, and I've never seen it, ever.
I found out that the field where they filmed The Sandlot, like where they played all their games, is still around, and it's in Utah.
Oh, yeah?
I would love to go see it one day, The Sandlot was like a staple of my childhood. And Chuck says in the chat, Rookie of the Year. That's another great baseball movie from my childhood.
But with Bad News Bears, that was a HBO staple when I was a kid. So,
oh yeah,
The remake was okay with Billy Bob Thornton, but just go back and watch the original with Walter Matthau. I watched it again a few years ago. It still holds up. So it's, I don't know where it's streaming. It's got to be streaming somewhere, but go check it out if you've never seen it.
Yeah, Bad News Bears is a classic.
Oh yeah.
The remake is all right, but the original it's one of the classic and dare I say underrated baseball movies of all time, because people will bring up The Sandlot, they'll bring up Major League, Field of Dreams, but I mean Bad News Bears belongs in that conversation.
Yeah, if you want to know what life was like in the early 80s, late 70s for a kid, like it was pretty true to life. Rampage says, told my wife Jason hasn't watched The Sandlot. She says, I'm not easily disappointed, but he disappoints me. I'm sorry. I'll rectify that. I will watch The Sandlot in the next week or so.
I would love to do a commentary for The Sandlot.
Maybe we should. It should be my first viewing as a commentary for it.
Yeah.
But before we get out of here today, Derek, is there anything you want to let the people know before we go?
Yeah, you can, again, head over to facebook.com/plainjanemovie to follow the movie as it starts its festival run here in the next week or so. You can also go over to Instagram /plainjanemovie to check out some behind-the-scenes photos from the premiere that we had last month. It's still getting some pretty good buzz, so we'll be posting some updates on that shortly. And then in the meantime, I have written a script for what will hopefully be our next short. And yeah, that's about it.
And go check out the Open Micers podcast at Open Micers Podcast on Twitter, or not Twitter, but Instagram and Threads. We talked to Mikey Wernath last week, who was put on the show that we did with Mo Alexander over in Mobile. So go check out that episode. And I think that's it for this week. Let's go ahead and get out of here. If you want to leave us a voice message, go to voicecast.app/NCR. And you don't have to sign up for anything. You just leave us a message. Email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. Nerdcaveretro.com is our link tree. That takes you everywhere you need to go, including our socials, our Patreon, all that good stuff. And we love you all, and we'll see you next week.
And this is normally where we would put a soundbite, but Jason had to head to the restroom. So, yeah, that was a really fun show. I absolutely loved going back and playing Lego Star Wars. And thank you all for full chat. This was I always like seeing the interaction in the chat room. Chuck, he's reached the age of multiple bathroom breaks an hour. I can't really say anything because I'm not as far behind as you might think. So, welcome back.
Whew, sorry about that. I had to pee so bad. I was bouncing in my seat. I was like, I gotta go. I can't hold it no more. Whew.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, it's too much coffee. Yeah, sorry about that, everybody. But that's what happens when you get older. When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Yeah, when nature calls, you have to answer.
But hold on, let me pause this. And anything else for the people on YouTube before we get out of here?
No, I don't think so. No, just while you were gone, I just said thank you to everybody in the chat. Love seeing the interaction and everything. This was a really fun show.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I do want to go and play some Lego Star Wars this week. I'm going to break out the GameCube and play it.
You won't regret it.
And I know I got to watch The Sandlot, so we should talk about that. Should we do a comment? Should I save it for a commentary, or should I just watch it?
Well, I mean, it's going to be a while before we do a commentary because we've got the
Yeah.
D&D campaign. So I'd say go ahead and watch it.
Okay. I'll find out where it's streaming, and I'll give it a watch. And I think Nick said, yeah, he said that Bad News Bears is not streaming anywhere, but he did buy it on Fandango. So that's a place I'm pretty sure you can just buy it wherever. It shouldn't be that expensive. I mean, it's like what, like $1.99, $2.99 probably.
I wonder if there's a complex way of watching The Sandlot.
Ooh, yeah, there could be.
I don't know.
We shall see. But thank you guys for watching. Sorry I had to tip out so fast.
No, all good. I kept them entertained.
I was just like, man, I am not going to make it to the end of the song or I'm going to explode. But thank you guys for hanging out with us. And we'll see you. Let me put up our little outro here. And we will see you guys.